gentlemen, we're ready to begin the workshop meeting. We followed the outline set before us. Administration Department is first up. And of course, the mayor will not be here. He had another pressing engagement that came up. So we'll continue as is.
Okay, we put together, you should have here, you were delivered this, I believe, Friday afternoon. It has the Mayor Commissioner's Department, Administration, Finance, and Municipal Building, all combined in one, and all the pages are numbered. I can, I guess, give you the War and Peace version or the Reader's Digest version. But I'll just point out what is new. There's only a couple.
Excuse me, Steve, just turn that mic over. So,
Can you hear me in the back row?
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me? I'll just point out the changes from last year. We have, the accounts that we have requested here is not entirely to the departments. We know that there's no salaries in any of these yet. They have not yet been determined what the proposal is. And of course, we don't have all the fringe benefits. The largest one is healthcare. We're still waiting on the quotes for healthcare. So this is just kind of this is not the entire department. Each of these departments that are here is not all of the accounts within each of those departments. So I just point out the ones where there are changes. We've looked at the accounts that are here are the ones that we're looking at the history as, you know, the expenditure of each of those and projected what we needed. But where there's something new, I will point that out, and there's very little new categories. On the Mayor Commissioners, of course, again, I'm not going to go over each of these accounts, but there's really nothing new there other than looking at how much has been spent in each of these areas and what we project will be needed for the upcoming fiscal year. And where there's under dues and subscriptions, for example, on page 4, when we do have a new amount for each of those organizations, we would put that in, but there's nothing new in any of the Mayor Commissioners account. Town Minister and I went to the local government insurance trust kickoff meeting or spring meeting, renewal meeting, and we just have gotten some rates just yesterday afternoon, so they're not reflected here either. Overall, they projected a very modest 1.3% increase to all the different rates in liability, property damage, and vehicles, and so that's public official liability. So it's a very modest increase they're projecting for the upcoming fiscal year, but they are not yet reflected in this. I don't think there's anything new, Mayor Commissioners, is there? And of course, there's no amount for election. There is no election schedule for FY19. And actually, the only thing is under page 7 on the employee awards and Christmas expenses. That's based on, again, historical costs. So we project that for the upcoming year. Is there any question on your department, the board's department? Or anything you want to add at this point?
I have none.
Yeah. Okay, I'll keep on rolling then. Okay.
Yeah, one question is, I'm
Sure.
sure you have the quarter, you had $500. What does that entail?
That was, what's it, 1 quarter for each one?
Yeah.
When the committee, I don't know who the committee is right now.
Gift for the.
It's a gift certificate for the choice of a business in town. It's $125 for the employee a quarter.
All right.
And also scholarships, we had increased that. There was, a couple years ago, there's only one $500 scholarship, but then actually at the request of Commissioner Gibbons, we had, there's now 2 $500 scholarships. Okay, the next, what should be up, right, what page would that be on? Okay, is the Administration Department, again, that begins on page, okay, yeah, that's about right, 11 through 13. Again, there's nothing new there. Where you do see a line item with a dollar amount, that's what we are projecting based on what the historical costs have been. There is nothing new here. Flipping through to see if there's anything that jumps out. Again, dues and subscriptions where we have been made aware of an increase in any of the organizations, we would include that in here. insurance, you see is left blank on page 18, that's left blank because we just got the rates yesterday afternoon. Fuel, we looked at a couple, I guess, publications, if you want to call them that, as to what the projected price for fuel will be for the upcoming year. So we incorporate that information with the information from the gas boy, where everybody that uses town gas has to plug in their unique code, and it comes up with how much is used by department. So we'll be filling those in.
And that's not the mail books that they've written now.
Yeah, so it's, again, these are,
April newsletter.
yeah, this wouldn't be available yet to be included in this, so. And I think, so there's nothing new in Department 120, which is the Administration Department. Oh, that's right, we just got this Network Maryland proposal. Excuse me. That is included in 120. All the internet expenses are in 120, and all the information technology expenses are 120 for all of the town, with the exception of the police department. We want to capture those expenses separately because that's tied into state aid for police protection. The amount of money we spend with the police. So, but basically everything else is all in the administration department, all the IT services, and that will be where the new, we are promised a much faster internet with this Network Maryland, which is not up yet. I don't think it's, Mike's not here. I don't
It's
think
transitioning it.
Yeah, it's going to be a while to
Maryland
go.
Network program provides, is only for governmental agencies. And since it runs right by our facility, or Mike Devine coordinated with the Maryland people to connect us to it, so we won't use Comcast here anymore after that.
that'd be great.
Yeah, we'll be all Comcast and go right to it.
Fiber
We got,
optics.
yeah, it's, we're told it will be lightning quick speed, and it was intended just to provide, like, as George said, for governmental entities.
Is that a significant saving? Or
It's not so much a saving,
Waiving
but,
connections.
yeah, there's a big,
3,000.
not just short of $10,000 waiving of a connection fee, but.
Oh, they are?
Right, but the speed, I'll be told, I'm not an IT person, it would be
Yeah, I guess.
much greater. Are there any questions on the administration department? Okay, the next is finance. Okay, next is finance department, which begins on page 29. We have the auditing fee, which we know we were given a proposal that the board considered a couple of meetings ago. We've gotten a price from Clifton Larson Allen to perform the audit of FYs 18, 19, and 20. So this is the amount. It's split among the funds, 50% general fund and 25, 25 to each of the water and sewer funds. So that is an actual number based on the approved proposal by Clifton Larson Allen that the board spoke about a couple meetings ago. There's two increases here in the finance department. The first one is for training and education, which is on page 36. Oh, okay. Bear with me 1 second here. Okay, object 36 was on page 42. We've got an increased amount in there for training for payroll processing to achieve the certified payroll professional designation. That's online courses that Diana LeFew, who of course does the payroll, would be taking, and that amount there for the upcoming year is at $2,455. So that is what's above and beyond what had been requested in previous years. You know, those are conferences that I attend and that are necessary for me to maintain my license. I have to attend 80 hours every 2 years, and this there's not a new amount associated with me. The new amount is associated with the payroll destination training. And we do have a minor equipment, which is the page before. Yeah, the previous page has a take-home laptop in the event that, which we actually experienced this year with a couple snow days, the ability to work from home, when we know ahead of time whether there's a weather event.
What page you on?
Page 41 is object number 35, minor equipment. We are requesting $800 for a laptop for the finance department that will allow work to be done from home in the event of a weather situation come up and pending payroll, or even Mayor Fisher meetings where we can enter invoices. So that's something that we are requesting this upcoming year.
So with that being purchased, then who would have priority in taking it home?
Whatever was the schedule dictated would be either actually the payroll person, Diana, or Beth, who could be doing the payroll should Diana not be here that week. There's two people that can operate, do payroll. Diana's the primary. Beth is the backup for that, and fully is capable of doing it as well. But when people don't stop expecting the paycheck if the weather's not good, so we need to be able to process that should the situation dictate that. Okay.
I think that's a good thing. I've seen a lot of companies do that.
Well, I mean, we always said that the first thing you do, you gotta get the payroll out in time. I mean, there's no faking not having the payroll out.
Yeah, it's worthwhile.
We could always do something with accounts payable, which is a very close second, but, payroll is payroll.
Does everyone have direct deposit or?
Oh, yeah, actually only a few
Not everyone.
don't have direct deposit, and some of which may or may not be sitting along the side of the room.
But
And
they would
that's
be
actually
aware.
big, yeah, they would be aware that actually, the payroll is processed on Wednesday, and it always actually comes from Atlanta, and it flies and always makes their flight, and they get here the next morning. But, one of these years it's gonna be snowing in Atlanta on that.
In Atlanta?
Yeah, it snows in Atlanta, or the landing, or Philly here, I guess it comes to Philly or Baltimore, I'm not sure.
Philly.
And that would be a problem for those not on direct deposit. If you're on direct deposit, you may not get your pay stub, your fake check, call it fake check. But those who have a live check, they would be, no, I'm not looking at you. Yeah, they would be, they'd feel a crunch if you couldn't get a live check.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know how many people get live checks, but is that an
It's
additional
under
cost
10, I
us?
think it's under 10.
Mhm.
Is that an additional cost?
No.
Everybody, and there's a charge per person.
Yeah, just the process of
Period.
payroll.
Right.
Yeah. Some employers require new employees have to sign up for direct deposit, but we can't make older seasoned employees.
But then we ran into with Parks and Rec and then having 15-year-olds.
Yeah, right, and you do have that
Well, if
issue
it was
with.
costing us money, we could.
Is there a choice?
No, but I think
It doesn't matter either
you're
way.
kind of playing you're playing Russian roulette if you, weather gods
You
are in
delivery
perfect
fee.
alignment and the checks don't get here.
Gotcha.
But anyway,
Which they haven't done.
which it never happened, but, as soon as I say it,
Yeah, no.
there could be an earthquake in Philadelphia and the plane can't land with the check. I don't know.
Flooded out of Atlanta.
Yeah.
So with the direct deposit, evidently the bank will tap money from your account.
Yeah, the Ceridian is a company that processes our payroll. They have authority to, once we transfer the payroll to them, we make sure the money is in the account. They in effect go in and grab it, make sure it gets to the right places, everybody's bank, to the federal government for the withholdings, and some other miscellaneous things. They take care of all that.
So they know on the day before that there should be a deposit, or they withdraw from your account.
Yeah.
And my reason is not only this, but you look statewide and every place else. Basically, if there's a due date like this federal income tax, not federal income tax,
Your withholding.
like Social Security and things like that,
Right.
it always comes on the day designated. So the inner workings of a bank or must have, or what have you, must make sure that it gets there on time.
Absolutely. There's a coordination between Ceridian and our bank to make sure we have the money in bank. The Ceridian, after processing payroll, they know what amounts need to go where. they have to go in and grab that amount, and it has to be there.
Right.
If it's not there,
And
go
that's,
budget.
and that's a good reason for the laptop. If they can't make it in, they can get those.
We can still,
They do the
we-
funds
you
online,
can do
plus
it,
the payroll.
you can do it from home.
Right. There you go.
Absolutely.
All right, great.
And so that's what we are requesting above and beyond what we normally have in that category. We have no capital requests for this current year. The other department we have is 150, it's called General Services Municipal Buildings, that begins on page 45. Okay, that again, with the electric bills, insurance for the building, that's where, you know, every time the air conditioner heater goes, you know, the repair costs for all the buildings that the town owns are charged that department. Again, most of these accounts we are just projecting based on historic costs, and any information we have received regarding any proposed, any projected increase of heating oil or gasoline or you know, natural gas or whatever. And there's no, oh, actually there is a little bit of equipment. So again, there's nothing new that has been requested there with the exception of the capital item. If you look on page 55, the very last page, there is just kind of as a placeholder, we have that $3.5 million in there for the community centers. No, that's the early working number that we're I won't say playing with that, but that we're working with now. And what you don't see here is that there would be an offset, there would be revenue in that same amount within the general fund to show either borrowing from the, actually 500,000 we already have committed in our fund balance toward it. So when the complete budget is put together, if nothing else changes, they would show either $3 million in revenue by way of borrowing from the bank or borrowing from the water and or sewer fund. Then there would also be the debt service for a year. This is just an effective placeholder right now, just to put that dollar amount there. Kind of went through a lot kind of fast, but again, I'm pointing out really what was above beyond what is typically in here. Are there any questions on any of those four departments?
So a lot of times when you borrow from yourself, is there documentation to make sure that you also put back into the same account down the road?
Well, there would certainly have to be a motion made by the board that the
Okay.
intent is, if that is the intent, you know, X dollars or, you know, by way of resolution. Just like there had to be if you borrow from the bank, there had to be something formal, a formal recognition by the board that that's the board's intent and the use of that borrowing.
Any questions from anyone? Sir, audience? No, well, let's move on to the next item. Chip?
Okay, turn it over to Chip. You want the
Okay.
microphone?
Just a couple minor changes to the building and zoning department budget. Really, the only increases is just some supplies, because we have been making or printing our own envelopes, stationery, letterhead for a couple of years now, which is a big savings over having it printed, and we just, it's additional envelopes and paper that we have to order for that, because we go through quite a bit. There's really the only one increase is $700 for working on the website that we have that we report all our inspections on. We had a little glitch in it this past year that was a little pricey to have fixed. We haven't had anything major done to it for 2 or 3 years, and we decided to put a little bit extra in there in case something pops up again. We do have a vehicle in there this year. We had it in last year, but we didn't get any capital last year, so it's basically the same thing to replace a 14-year-old vehicle, which is still running, but it's one that has a serious engine problem. When it goes, it's done.
What kind of vehicle? For
2004 Explorer, which, you know, is getting kind of old. And it still runs, we're still using it, but it has a condition with the engine that I explained last year, that if it goes, it's $700-800 to fix. And I don't think that's worth putting into a 14-year-old vehicle, but that's where we're at with it. That's only one of the issues with it, you know, so that's why we have money in there for another vehicle. That's pretty much it. There's really no other additions or changes to it. Questions?
Any questions from the sitting board? Now we'll move on from that item to our water and sewer fund capital projects.
That's up there for Mark.
Yeah, with, and from Jason
Taylor.
Taylor, has given us a proposal of the capital items for both the water fund and sewer fund. You guys have that? I apologize, I don't know if that was that forwarded to you guys Friday afternoon? Okay, yeah, I mean, we will discuss that, I think, with the budget, or sit down with the mayor, he comes up with his desires. There's some capital projects, you know, the surface water treatment plant, there's a filter system that's proposed, and a flow meter that's proposed, and I don't know, I can't remember what's proposed in the sewer. You know,
I'll give you a rundown.
this is MBE required.
The flow screen is required under the water appropriation permit that we have for the operation of the water plant. There's a couple of new provisions they added in there. We have to screen out fish eggs, so to speak. And screening those fish eggs out will cost us probably between $100,000 and $150,000.
What?
And to do the screen and have it retrofitted to our plant. The other thing is the flow measurement in the race, and I think that the estimate for that might be, estimate for that work is $143,750 so far for that. The screen, for the screen, 143,000, and the flow meters.
About 56,000.
So 56,000.
That's the last
Okay,
one. I'll do
56,000
something
for
more
that.
than that.
So we're going to spend close to $250,000 just on meeting our those items in the
MBE
plan.
mandates.
Only question I had, Lord, how big are the fish eggs?
It's pretty small. The screen has to be, the aperture in the screen can't be larger than 1 millimeter. So it's pretty small like that. And it has to be in there during natural fish season, usually March 1 through June 15th, somewhere in that neck of the woods. But that, we're requiring to have that. Never had it before, but we have that now.
This is a new unfunded mandate?
Well, it's not unfunded from our end, we have to pay for it.
From their end, right?
Our ratepayers are gonna pay for it,
Oh.
but they require it, the state does.
Is anybody contesting this,
I'm sorry?
or anybody contesting this? In the
Yeah, we
state?
had quite a meeting with the water supply folks, but between the MDE and the DNR, I don't think we have the capacity to refuse to do a thing for an appropriation permit. I will try one last effort to have them reconsider the flow, though. That's $143,000 for that. So we'll see, I mean, $56,000. See if we can get that backed off again.
So if those fish eggs weren't removed, then what happened, what would happen to the egg eventually?
They would be destroyed by our treatment process. The theory is that if we screen them and then through a backwash, we have a backwashing system, they'll go back into the stream and be preserved. But if they come in without being screened, then they're just destroyed during their treatment process.
Any questions from anyone
There's a lot
else?
of eggs out there.
I think it's gonna sink in.
Please provide us with any update that you may have, so it'll sink in our minds as well. Any new business from anybody that needs to be discussed? Reg or Earl, Jean?
New business. Have we heard anything from Union Hospital on High Street? Have they done the modifications?
Quiet, very quiet.
Very quiet.
I
Surprised
don't know if
me.
they talked to Dan or not, but I haven't heard anything out of Martin Mears or anything.
Well, they had breakfast about 3 or 4 weeks ago with Lifebridge coming to speak. It was at the Rising Sun Banquet Hall.
Right.
And they told everything they wanted to do there, and we're looking forward to this partnership. But I don't think there's been something signed on the dotted line yet. I may be wrong, I'm not sure.
Well, yeah, regardless of that, I mean, safety issue that they brought up, I was just curious.
And I still ride through there and I see people crossing from either side at different locations. At least 1, 2, 3, or 4. They just go across the street.
Wherever they want.
Yeah.
I think the next step was the chief having a meeting with Mark Mears on that.
Right.
So.
I was just wondering if it
I think they
had.
were
I thought
going to
Louisville
supply
would
some
be
data
involved
as
in
the
that.
number of pedestrians crossing there.
Oh, yeah.
They were asking for that.
Especially like at High, or Singerly and High.
I think the majority that I've seen who actually use the crosswalks are probably the one near the hospital entrance, and then
Right.
at Stringley
Right.
and High, I do see people crossing there.
No, that's
Like-
more like employees. That's more like employees.
Yeah, or I see them pulling over to the professional building.
Right.
But Mr. Gibbons is right, they just walk right across the cobblestone right there from the garage all the
That's right.
time. I
Mhm.
don't know why they do that, but it's
Right.
up here,
Yeah.
it's marked and everything, so
Um,
but we got people that cross Route 40 in the traffic also. And the state highway's been fortunate putting lights in crosswalks there, and we still have people being killed crossing Route 40 where there's no where there is no pedestrian improvement, so you can't do anything about human nature, it's just.
Do you know if the chief met with that lady from Buttonwood yet on their parking issue?
I don't know,
No?
I don't know.
Maybe by next meeting? I was just curious how, if, and how that went.
One of the things I just want to mention, I know it mentioned maybe a year ago. By riding through towns, we want to try to do things to beautify the town of Elkton. One thing that I noticed is a state road, but I like to see the bridges painted, either this side part where you're going over the bridge, this one, North Street and Bridge Street. Because every time I go through it, I'm saying to myself, it could really be a change if you were to put a little paint and you just roll it down and up through it, just something that's colorful. So, I don't know whether that would go from the state, I know they won't want to pay for the paint, but we could get our public work people to paint it to do something. I'm just throwing it out there because anything
I
to
had
make.
sent a letter, the board had brought this up before, maybe it was you,
Yeah.
and they won't paint concrete on that bridge.
Would they allow us to do a mural or something? Because I don't know if we checked on that or not. When we were first designated an arts and entertainment district about putting murals on the side of the bridges.
How about the chain link part of it?
We paint, change, a galvanized fence?
You never seen that
How you
happen?
do that, huh?
You just spray it, there you go.
Spray go.
Spray goes on the side.
Spray go, that's the issue.
No, there's gotta be something, just to, they've gotta
Now, they put
be.
those tarps in when they're
Well, they
spraying.
just turn the street over to us. Town of Elkton is the town of Elkton. Sorry, in this county, the state's gotta give us permission to do that.
That
But
would be a great
it's
place.
beautifying the town of Elkton.
Well,
Coming in.
there's two approaches here. One approach is to ask for the state highway, you have to go through the bridge people, to grant permission to the town to paint the bridge, if you want to do that, paint the sides of the bridge. And we would have to provide engineering data to support what type of coating we would use in preparations and all that. So it didn't matter, can we paint it? It's giving them specifications that would adhere to concrete and all that. And then they would send us an agreement that we would maintain, have to maintain it at our expense. So if that's the approach you want, you know, I'll send something out to structure people first, and they'll send back if they, you know.
The engineering
Then it's a
cost-
specification to be.
Engineering-
Nothing simple with the thing.
Can't we just go to American Horror and
It-
say, I want
engineering
paint
thing-
concrete?
Only tie ribbons on it.
Engineering costs to be more than, oh,
Oh my God, just the engineering alone.
Good
Costs us a lot of money, more than the
well,
paint.
anyway, so sorry.
Yeah.
All right.
I do have one last question, I don't need to, do we have an existing employee that would have either the talent, the time, or whatever, to take over landscaping out front of this building?
Well, actually,
Public works.
we do, Brian McQueen.
Somebody
He wouldn't be the
that,
one that would do it, he'd be the one to direct it, because he serves in a supervisory capacity, not a labor person.
but somebody who
he would-
really has knowledge of
What do you
landscaping.
want to do? I mean,
Clean it up and make it look much
Because
better.
they'll bring mulch down and stuff, but I'm not sure if you want to tear out all the plants or.
Well, I don't know, it's like you need somebody that knows what they're doing. But that monument out there to Donna, and it's just, is and has always looked bad, in my opinion. I just can't believe the front of our building looks like that.
Michelle's got green with them.
I know she does, but, I mean, she has time.
Vegetables.
She could oversee somebody, I just didn't know if we had somebody who,
Okay, you got me.
you
No,
know.
I'm good.
I made my point, I think.
Louis, you got her point, I agree with her. I guess I'm like Earl too, you gotta spruce up something.
Yeah.
In your own building here that you call yourself in charge of and where we meet, it should be inviting.
The hospital has a great landscape.
This hospital got land great, well, great.
Yeah. I think it's Sue
And not only that, this is your
Matthews.
building, Louis, that you come in and you supervise all these employees. I know you'd like to see it be inviting, so someone can say, I was at your building, it looks very nice, the shrubbery. You know, it's a carryover for everybody. We're in this together, we're Elkton.
So if I got more than a $10 pocketbook, I'm in pretty good shape, you know, I mean.
Give me 15
You got Dan, you got Dan and all those guys down there, you make
There's
these
always the
people.
money issue. and not-
Yeah, I think it's more than just going out there with a rake.
Huh?
It really is more than just going out there with a rake.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Okay. If I'm unrestrained, I can have a lot, but I can see, first thing I would do, I see a lot of concrete that has to be taken out. Because it's all, there's a lot of, the concrete is cracked out there, so our guys came in and they put a veneer on it, it's all falling apart. It just
Really?
wouldn't hold up. And tear all that concrete out would be a big job.
And maybe the School
you
of
can
Tech
patch it up, huh?
would love to help with that.
Who's that?
The School of Technology? with
They
their
wouldn't
horticulture.
break out concrete, I don't think.
No, but I mean, when it comes to planning and making it more
Like a
attractive.
landscaping plan or something. I don't know.
Good.
Quite sure you have a lot of creativity right in your ranks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might.
How you thinking?
Thank you. I have.
With that being said, we're done.
I think
Okay.
Mr.
Oh, Mr. Lemon.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Lemon, please.
I got a question. Next workshop, we're supposed to have builders in to quote on the new building, or to review that. Is that correct?
That should be correct, right? The builders for
Are you
the,
inviting the,
Contractors, that's your
No,
builders.
we're not.
it's changed.
Yeah, we're sending out a request for proposals. We're skipping over that chat with them at a time. We're gonna actually put out a proposal.
Because they came up with an amount, and they're gonna just send out.
Because we're gonna have an informal discussion, but after we discussed it, especially with the mayor, you won't get a lot of competitive firms who wanna sit around and chat about what they wanna do here.
Right.
We actually want a proposal from them, and a cost, so we'll know how to budget for the project. So that's what we're doing.
Do we have, so you're in contact with them, do we have prints and layouts of the building for them to look at?
There is no building. It's a bare lot. And it's a design build. You send out an RFP for them to design it, and they'll submit a design to the town for approval.
But how do they know what you want?
We give a narrative description of what we need there: gym space, office space, mechanical, electrical buildings, HVAC systems, stuff like that. It's a narrative type of thing.
You know, when Ed Ginder, when I missed the last meeting, I apologize, but Ed Ginder was talking about the YMCA. The YMCA used to have, and you may know this, Charlie, they used to have a set of prints, a number of prints that you could use for your building layout. And you could pick and choose, let's say, 10 or 15 different buildings that you could do in there. And then you could build your Y, or start with that and build your Y from that. My question is,
Don't worry, we'll have
my
layout.
question
We already
is,
have a floor plan. We have a
That's
floor
what he's
plan.
asking.
I say, my question is, I think you went down to Bel Air, didn't you?
We went a number of places.
Yeah, Bel Air, and
Why
in
would
fact,
we-
Steve and I were down to Avery Grace yesterday.
So why wouldn't we, go on some of that as far as?
Their facilities are probably in the 10 million range that they have down there, that way beyond what we anticipate. They have really nice facilities, and they're county operated.
There's nothing in the city, state organizations that have building layouts for this?
So we're doing a design build. We allow the architect, contractor's architect to make the design based on a narrative description. What we need, that's the approach we're using here.
Well, I like that better than the way you were going before. That's a better approach. I'm good.
Oh, who you are, you have anything to say? I'm glad that you're here at the workshop on behalf of us.
Yes, me?
Yeah.
I just wanted to hear what was planned. Unfortunately, I didn't see your paperwork, but I could get enough from the discussion
Good.
to understand. So
We're glad to have you here.
you'll be seeing more of me, I'm sure. Thank you.
Are you a resident here in Elkton?
I live in South Street.
Okay.
Good.
I think that's part of Elkton.
It's a great part about that. You should run another way up there. Yeah. Before you was there, probably. With that being said, we're done.